Graham, start off with the analysis on Garrett, what you saw out of his first full start, full game.
Yeah, he did some good things, and then obviously there's some things that we need to clean up. The 2 turnovers, those obviously hurt. And then I think with Garrett, like it's kind of what I talked to him about after the game or watching the tape is just you just got to be really disciplined over and over and over. You can't get bored with just doing your job. And I think that's for anyone. Garrett, probably, more than most, just because like his natural personality is to kind of go rogue on you. But he, I think like I said, you just can't get bored with doing the job and taking the easy things. I think there were some easy things out there that we could have taken and didn't. But at the same time, he made some plays and scrambling around, and that's what he brings is an element, the athleticism element of things, and like I said, ran around, made a couple plays, like the 4th down in that first scoring drive, a heck of a play by him. And there were some other ones where he kind of got out of the pocket and still kept his eyes downfield, made some good throws. A couple times got out of the pocket and ran the ball. I think that with experience, he could be, I think that experience, you can't replace experience. And so, like, there's a difference between going in and playing a full game and going in for a drive or going in for, a small package or a couple plays. And so, I think with experience with Garrett, he has a really good skill set, and he's a kid that could do some special things. That you just have to try to eliminate the mistakes, and like I said, not get bored with doing your job.
Can you formulate your plan around Rogue? Can you massage it a little bit and say, okay, here's some things he does. Can we fit that into that at all?
I don't think. That's the thing about that probably you talk about, or I've talked about with probably Stanton more than anyone. But with Garrett, the hardest part is just you don't know when it's going to come. When the good thing's going to come off the scramble or whatever the case may be. And really some of his, and I think this is college or football in general. A lot of times the best, some of the best plays come, off timing or when it's not just how you draw it up and things start to move around and you make a play. And so the hard part in coaching, I think, is you can't gamble into that, and you don't know when that's coming. But there is some advantage to being able to move around and make plays, and like I said, he does a good job of that. It's just when the easy stuff's there, he's got to be disciplined enough to take the easy stuff too. The stuff you can reproduce, the stuff that you can predict, the stuff that you can game plan, like those plays have to be made.
Different is your play sheet when he's in the game compared to JT, because they're obviously different skill sets.
It's a little bit different, especially like in the run game in particular, because there's a threat of the quarterback run with Garrett in the air, and also you can read some things and stuff like that. So in the run game, it's obviously a lot different. In the pass game, like just try to do stuff that each of them are good at or feel really comfortable with. You know what I mean? I don't think that the plays necessarily change. You just kind of got to figure out, what's Garrett comfortable with and what's he execute well, what's he see well, and try to get him into that. And I think that's the case. It doesn't matter where you are or who you're playing with. Like if the quarterback likes the play, it's probably gonna work, and if he doesn't, it's probably not. No matter how good of a play it is or how bad of a play it is. I can remember even as a player that was the case. Leach would signal something in. I'm like, that's stupid, and then it wouldn't work. Or he'd signal something in, and be like, I really like that, and we may not get a defense that it was built for, or that it lined up great against, but you found a way to execute it, and because it's something you liked and believed in. So I think that's the key, really, with anyone in quarterback play. I can remember my first year at North Texas, probably the biggest difference between my first year at North Texas and my second year at North Texas, just from a play calling standpoint. Obviously players are different, but my first year I'm like, man, this play should work, I love this play, and then you got to figure out it's not about what I love as a player, it's what Mason Fine likes as a player. You know what I mean? And I think that was calling plays something you had to learn, because like, man, if I were in there, that would have worked. Well, I'm not in there, so I better figure out what Mason Fine likes to execute and call those plays. And same thing, like I said, no matter where it is, you better figure out what the guy that's taking the snap likes and feels comfortable with and can execute, and try to get him into those plays. And if you do, it usually works.
How different is practicing with an improvisational quarterback?
Practice isn't any different. You just, like I said, sometimes you want to sometimes you love the improvising and sometimes you hate it. And so the hard part is trying to figure out, balance that out. And like I said, I think the improvising, it's good as long as you don't take negative yardage plays, and that's the key. Because, like I said, when your first couple of reads aren't open and you move around and create, that's good, But you can't take negative yardage plays, and if the first couple of reads are open, you still got to take those. I think that's the biggest, like I said, like where he could have improved the most was just like when you had something easy there, take it, and don't try to make too much happen.
I know that it's not your decision directly in terms of the quarterback that starts, but just from you coming this year and then JT publicly saying that he came to play under you and to have the experience with you again, what was, or did you have conversations with him this past week? And then does that in any way kind of culminate to maybe how the season didn't go the way anybody would have wanted, that he didn't end up being a starter?
I had conversations with him, and the great thing about JT is he was an incredible teammate last week, I thought, and his kind of comment on the situation was like, hey, during the season it's all about the team and what gives the best chance to win. If you want to run him around, he probably gives you a better chance to win than I do. And so you got to respect that about him. And like I said, I think that last week he was an incredible teammate. Had great energy on the sideline, I think, and practiced the right way, and really did a great job being a great teammate.
When Garrett threw the pick six on the third play, how tough is it for a young quarterback to kind of bounce back from that, the way he did?
I think it depends on who it is, The good thing about Garrett is sometimes he doesn't remember his bad plays, so he can move on pretty quickly. And like I said, I think it depends on the person. I think that some people are really going to harp on their mistakes and beat themselves up about it, and other guys can make mistakes and not think twice about it. And so, with Garrett, I think that I felt pretty confident that even though he threw a pick six, that doesn't mean the rest of the day is just going to be a disaster, because he's a guy that can move on and keep playing. And that next drive, put together a really nice drive and let us down and score. That was a heck of a drive and a heck of a response to throwing a pick six, in your first start that early in the game.
The two picks, just so I'm clear, the first one was he didn't see the defender, and the second was an overthrow. Is that what it was?
I don't know what the first one was. I mean, the guy was standing between him and the guy. So the second one, the second one was actually a good read. The guy was open. He just missed the throw. And, that was a big one too. The first one, just a poor decision is what I would say, because like I said, it's man coverage and the guy's underneath the route, and he threw it straight to him.
That's an automatic don't throw there.
Yeah, that's just a bad read. That was just a bad decision. The second one, like I said, it was a good decision. We had what we wanted. We had the guy open, and he just missed the throw. And the other kid made a good catch, but yeah, that was just a missed throw, not a poor decision.
As a player and coach, do you like Thanksgiving week? I mean, it's all football. What are your thoughts of this week?
Yeah, I love it, especially my dad's a high school football coach. And so in Texas, if you're practicing on Thanksgiving, that's kind of like everyone's, I don't know if it's everyone's goal. You want to win a state championship, but when you practice on Thanksgiving, you've made a late run in the playoffs. And so that's what I remember, what I remember growing up, because we had some good teams back home, was playing football on Thanksgiving, practicing on Thanksgiving, going home early, or practicing early, going home and having Thanksgiving, and watching the Cowboys. And so there's nothing more American than watching the Cowboys and eating Thanksgiving dinner, right? So
The Lions lose.
so that's what I remember about Thanksgiving. I enjoy it. Thanksgiving just falls in kind of the heat of a football season, whether it's NFL, high school. High school, you gotta make a little run in the playoffs in most states to still be playing at this point. But high school, college, pros, I think Thanksgiving and football have kind of been tied together. It feels like, not intentionally, probably in the beginning, but now it's part of it. And so I think practicing on Thanksgiving and being around the guys, it's really all I've ever known, like I said, because my dad's a coach. And then you get to college and you do it. When I was at Green Bay, we played on Thanksgiving a couple of times, but you were always practicing on Thanksgiving. And so I like it. And the other cool thing is most of the time you're out of school as well. The the players are out of school. So if you're a player, you're out of school. So all you really have to do is, you get to sleep in a little bit, go work out, practice football, and then hang out with your friends in the evenings. So I always thought this was an awesome week, a great week to play football. And like I said, Thanksgiving and football kind of go together now here in America, and I like the tradition. So it's fun.
If Garrett were a starting quarterback for the next few years, let's just say, would you be able to recognize him at that time from where he is now? Or would a quarterback like that change, become maybe more cautious, more knowledgeable?
I don't think you would necessarily become more cautious, but I do think the execution cleans up. Like I said earlier, that just comes with with live reps. I think that. I think I talked about it last week, but you just kind of got to be yourself, and you can't try to be someone you're not, and that's in anything, And but as a player, the same. So I think that you'd see a similar style of football, but like last week, the 2-minute drive right before half, we had a wide open hitch route that if he takes, you probably get a drive going. On second down, the hitch is wide open, and he just doesn't look at it. And that's where his eyes should have been to start, And you take that, you get a first down, you might get a drive going. At worst, you probably don't allow them to score right before half, but at best, you go get a score going in and kind of have some momentum with the ball coming out. And that's something that's really, really easy to do. He had, and just, was undisciplined for a play, didn't look at it, and didn't take it. And so, I think that what you would see is stuff like that clean up tremendously, and it would just get better and better. Like I said, I think Garrett has a unique skill set. He can run around well. He has a really strong arm, like the deep ball he threw to Sam. Like that's a really big time throw. As a heck of a ball. It takes a pretty special arm talent to do that, and Garrett has a special arm talent. But like I said, I think that what you see is just the execution cleanup. And if you do that, then I think that he could be really, really good, and you can move the offense. Like I said, like the 2-minute drive is just an easy example. Like, boom, you get points there. It maybe changes the entire complexion of that football game. And like I said, it's an easy hitch to take that he just ignored. And there were a couple of others, like I said, hitch routes that he just didn't throw. Because, like I said, and I think some of it, he wanted to make the big throw. You know what I mean? Because we were running like a little hitch with an inside fade, and he's hoping the inside fade's open. I'm like, well, hope's a bad strategy, bud. You better see what they did and take what they actually do, not what you hope they do. And so I think that, like I said, with time that would clean up. I don't think his style of play would change. I don't think necessarily he becomes less cautious. I think you just see him clean up the execution and make less mistakes and take the easy things. And if you do that, you move up and down the field, and so you get kind of the improvisation side of things with him. And if you clean up, like I said, the easy things, I think that he could really move an offense.
You have to remind yourself that that was his first start. There have been some pretty good quarterbacks he's played, but that was his first start. He admitted he was nervous as hell going into the game, and you didn't really manage him like first start quarterbacks usually are. You just let him play. You have to remind yourself that, hey, this is the first time he's really done this.
Yeah, man, I think there's something to like I said, that's experience. You know what I mean? Like the more reps, the more game reps you can get, the better and better you're going to be. And that's why some of those older quarterbacks in the NFL, their skill level might not be the same as it was when they were younger, but they still might be arguably the best quarterbacks in the NFL because nothing can fool them. You know what I mean? They've just seen everything. They can execute at a really high level, and so like I said, I think that you in your first start, you're gonna make some mistakes. You know what I mean? And
remember your first start?
I should. I can't think of actually who we played right now, but I remember my first high school start. I don't remember my first college start, but
Must not have been that memorable then if you don't remember, right?
Well, we probably, Texas Tech did a good job scheduling back when I played, so it probably wasn't a real memorable opponent, but here's my guess.
Wasn't a number 19?
No, it wasn't a conference opponent.
No.
The first I remember is, the first conference game I played was Texas A&M down in Kyle Field. We came back and beat them in the last seconds as a sophomore. That's probably the first game I remember. I don't even remember who we played before that.
Just obviously you weren't there prior to this year, and you can look at the numbers, and obviously the big win and coming in last week or 2 weeks ago being such a big deal for Garrett, and then this past game, first start, not as great just on face value. But was there anything that you noticed from the appearance at Oklahoma to the start against Kansas State that was actually, okay, he already progressed to this, was an eye-popping, like that's already better just from a week of practice as the top guy that maybe we would miss if we're just looking at the numbers?
You know, the thing about Garrett is we've given him, I mean, he gets a ton of reps every day, you know what I mean, in practice. And so I think there has been progression throughout, I mean, especially from when I got here. You know, if you look at like spring ball through fall camp, through like, he's gotten a lot better, you know what I mean? And, but, you know, from Oklahoma to K-State, you know, I don't know if there was a ton different, you know, hopefully he was 1 week better, but it's not like there's something that's like, oh, this one thing happened that you noticed it. You know what I mean? I do think that over time he has gotten a whole lot better, and at probably the thing that I kind of talked about, like just making the easy play, you know, and doing it the way he's coached to do it. And I think that, you know, the probably the biggest difference, I mean, I guess if you want him, like when he went in that Oklahoma game, he missed like 6 exchanges or exchanged the football wrong. Only one of them was on the ground. Missed a motion, you know what I mean? Like, we ran a play out of a formation you can't really run a play out of against Oklahoma, and thank goodness it wasn't a disaster because we were supposed to motion, and he just decided to snap the football, called for the ball, and here it comes, you know. And there wasn't any of that, which was, you know, like I said, the exchanges were cleaner, didn't miss any signals, stuff like that. So I think that, you know, that's probably something that you don't see unless you know what's going on. Obviously, you know, in the Oklahoma game, you could see some of the exchanges that were poor. You know, like when him and the running back go the opposite, different directions. When him and JJ fumbled the exchange, like that was the wrong exchange. And so, like, you can see a little bit of that. There wasn't any of that this week against Kansas State. There weren't any missed signals or motions. So I think from an operational standpoint, he definitely got better, and probably because, like I said, he knew he was going in and had to really prepare. But like I said, I think that the more reps you get, the better you're gonna get, and you're gonna get better and better every time. Like I said, the more live game reps you can get.
I have one more here. You know, watching Oklahoma State for the whole time West Virginia's been in this league, they prey on stationary quarterbacks. I mean, those edge, they're coming. They got a bunch of guys. They love to pressure the quarterback. Clearly, that has to help you, having a quarterback that can escape and move around in the pocket and extend plays.
Yeah, that definitely. I mean, like I said, that helps. Doesn't really matter who it's against. Like from a standpoint, if the quarterback gets pressure, if you can extend plays, it helps. You know, it's been a long time since I played Oklahoma State. You know, I guess I was a player the last time I did it, so they've changed a little bit since then, I'm sure. It was always a fun place to play. When we used to play them, it was always shootouts. When it was us versus Oklahoma State, 07. That might be statistically, or probably is statistically the best game I ever played, and we got beat like, I forget what, but it was close. And then in 08, they came to our place, and again they were good offensively, and it kind of was a shootout. So you know, like I said, I don't really have the recent history with what they've done defensively. I know they were really good last year defensively, and caused a lot of things, and still have a lot of those players. So they like to rush the passer. They like to rush the passer. And try to come get after them, and you know, we'll have to do a good job protecting regardless of who's back there. But definitely, like you said, extending the plays and maybe we don't get out of some trouble can really help you. And like I said earlier, I think the key is just to not take negative plays. I think that sometimes athletic quarterbacks don't know when the plays when they're done, you know. And Garrett did a good job of that last week. I don't think he took any like dumb sacks because he thought I can get out of a situation that you can't get out of. Sometimes I think that you know, really athletic kids don't know when to cut bait, but he did a good job of that last week. And if he gets in a situation where he needs to just eliminate, you know, minimize the damage, hopefully he does that this week. But yeah, being able to move around against really good pass rushers, you know, I think there's two elements to it. You got to be great in the pocket, and you got to be able to fill space and kind of shuffle around in the pocket. And then when you got to get out, you got to get out and hopefully keep the play alive, you know, and eliminate the negative yardage plays.
Graham, from where you had to throw Jalen Anderson in late in the TCU game to what you saw Saturday, it seems like pretty good progress from him. How has he helped himself and helped you all lately? I thought he had a really good week last week, and showed up on the game. You know, Jalen's a kid with a whole lot of talent that I think, you know,
I've only been here a few months with him, but I think from when he got here to now, just I mean, like most people going from high school to college, just have to grow up a little bit and transition from a high school player to a college player. And I think that knowing he was going to have an opportunity to get some reps helped him grow up in a hurry. And you know, I think that last week and this week or last couple weeks, you've seen him in the building, in Coach Scott's office, trying to watch film, trying to study tape. And like I said, I think that's a sign of growth and a sign of, you know, it helps when you know you're going to get in there. But it helps you perform on Saturday too, because if you're prepared, I think you go out there with confidence. He's always, you know, he's always been good with the football in his hand, you know. And I mean, last spring we saw that, this fall camp. I'm sure the previous, I mean, as long as he's been here, I'm sure that's been something that isn't hard to see. Like when he has the football in his hand, he has a pretty good skill set. It's just doing everything else right that he had to kind of figure out, and whether it be protection, you know, getting tough yards, stuff like that. And we weren't sure, like, okay, what's he going to look like in short yardage? And then we gave him 2 short yardage runs. I think he may have got explosives on both of them, you know. And so you're right on with him. You know, I think that having to throw him into the fire has, you know, I think in that situation with a kid like him or a kid in his situation, yeah, you're either going to get exposed for not doing things right, or you're going to kind of rise to the challenge. And he's kind of taken the challenge head on and done a lot of good things. You know, I don't think he's missed in a game. I don't think he's missed a blitz yet, you know, in protection, which is definite growth for him. When he's got the ball, he's been disciplined with his reads. And then when you get him in space, like I said, I think that, I mean, you can't teach people how to be good with the ball in their hand. That's kind of a skill you either have or you don't. And he has it, and it's shown up on Saturdays. You know, the moment hasn't been too big for him. He's done his job at a high level, and that's been really, really encouraging to see and pretty cool to see from Jalen.
Big guy, but what I understand, he can really catch it. His high school numbers are pretty good, but he seems like he has some speed when he opens up too. Like when you say skill set with him, what does that bring across the board?
Yeah, I think like you said, I mean, he has probably, I mean, he has really good hands. He has, especially for a running back, you know, like super soft hands. Catching the football comes natural to him. He's more elusive than you'd think to kind of be his size, you know, and it's not like he's like, when you see him like make a guy miss, it's not like, man, that was a super quick twitchy move. It's just he has just like a little suddenness that's elusive and people can't tackle, you know. And then he's big enough that I think in time he's going to be a hard guy to tackle as well, you know. I think that the more he plays, the more you'll kind of see that. And I think that, you know, again, transitioning from high school to college, you kind of have to develop into. I mean, there's guys like CJ that are just naturally big and strong. I mean, CJ weighs 240. That naturally, like, their tendency is to try to run over you instead of run around you. You know what I mean? When you've kind of been the best and most talented and probably most gifted player on the football field most of your career, a lot of times the natural move is to try to get around people or make them miss. But Jalen is big enough and physically, you know, he has a stature big enough that he could be a pretty physical back when he kind of figures that side of it out too. And I think that's what you'll see as he continues to grow, is he's a kid that can make you miss. And with time and with experience and with runs, I think he'll be a guy that will be able to get behind his pads and get some tough yards as well. And if you get that, you got pretty much a complete back with him. You know what I mean? Like a skill set that can make you miss, can catch the football out of the backfield. And then if he can get the tough yards, he's got the build to be able to do it. You can have a pretty special player. And so that's, like I said, love his skill set. Like it's been cool to see him kind of grow up over the last 2 weeks from a standpoint of just preparation. And like I said, again, knowing that you're going to have the opportunity to play, I think plays into that. And hopefully you just continue to see growth from him. And he's a guy that can be fun to watch for a couple years to come, you know.
Okay, Coach. Now, just to refresh your memory and let the media know, it was Oklahoma State 49, Texas Tech 45. They went to 2-2. You dropped to 3-1. Graham Harrell completed 46 of 67 passes for 646 yards, 5 touchdowns. It's the 4th largest passing yards in college football history. 237 went to Michael Crabtree, and 233 yards went to Danny Amendola.
Yeah.
So,
You don't remember any of that?
there you go.
I remember we had a 4th down to win the game, and we didn't convert it. That's why.
Man, I'll tell you what. You know, the thing about about that place is you can hear everything they're calling you.
Oh yeah,
Right on you.
they were actually kind to me. Shockingly, they. I can remember we went down there. I guess when I was a redshirt, when I was the backup, we went down there, and they were just riding Cody Hodges, and they were like, "Graham, you're gonna be good though." I'm like, "Yeah, man, I like these people," you know. So.